Hey everyone, welcome to a live action video here on World Class Bullshitters. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Today for Spider-Man month I thought I'd do something a little different. I'm going to go through and show you the graphic novels or trade paperbacks that feature Spider-Man that I own. Now just real quick, a caveat. These are not the single issues. I own 6 long boxes of Spider-Man books. We have 75% of the original Amazing Spider-Man run, 90% of the Ultimate Spider-Man run. I got thousands of Spider-Man comics. So I'm not going to go through the box and show you the key issues and stuff like that, because I just don't really feel like pulling out the box. But let's get on with the video. By the way, excuse this messy table. This is my art table where I do art. So there's some paint residue in the top right-hand corner. So first on the list we have Maximum Carnage. This is a pretty good title. It's a compilation of the Maximum Carnage storyline that ran through Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, and I believe it was published in, what, 1992? 93, there we go, it says it right there. It's a fun story. It's not real deep, but it's 90s Spider-Man, so you're going to get everything you expect. You're going to get Venom, you're going to get Carnage, you're going to get a very muscly Spider-Man, you're going to get some unattractive women, because that was a shortcoming of the artists. It's a good book. I like it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give Maximum Carnage a 6.5, maybe a 7. If we're going just on the art, it's going to go a little higher because I love Sal Buscema's artwork. He's one of my top 5 favorite Spider-Man artists, but you already knew that if you watched the video. So, that's Maximum Carnage. And there's the back, by the way. That's something most people would love. Carnage is back in town. He's going to burn it to the ground. See, that's why I don't think Carnage would ever really work in a film. He's like a Kmart Joker. Up next, Spider-Man, Birth of Venom. I like this title a lot because it's again a compilation of Spider-Man's black suit, and it starts out with the first appearance way back in 1984's Secret Wars. It just has a nice little snippet of the story because the whole issue is not about Spider-Man in his black suit. But then we jump to Amazing Spider-Man number 252, which is the first time the black suit was actually ever seen, because I believe this issue came out in May, and when was and this was dated December, but they're both 1984, so this came out many months beforehand. It had to be exciting to not know where the black suit came from or how it was formed. I'm a big fan of the black suit. It's my second favorite design. Again, if you watched our top 5 Spider-Man costumes, you'd know that. But on to this book. It's great. It's got artwork from guys like Ron Frenz, Rick Leonardi, even Todd McFarlane's first appearance of Venom is in this book, because Todd McFarlane's first 3 issues of Spider-Man are in this book. So that's the first time we ever see Venom. And then he finally appears in a full body shot. That's pretty cool. On to Spider-Man 300. This is one of my personal favorite issues. I own the original. Paid a lot of money for it. Went through a lot of hassle to get it, but it was worth it. I don't know your thoughts on Todd McFarlane. Personally, he's not my favorite artist, but I think he's a very important artist. That's why I put him so high on my list. But this book covers the first appearance of Venom, the first fight of Venom, and pretty much how Venom was kind of written out for a little bit. There's even the backstories with Venom at a truck stop where he fights crime, and you can see that Venom didn't always have the big long tongue. McFarlane actually didn't draw him with the big long tongue. That was a later creation. Eric Larson, I believe, did that. But yeah, that is Spider-Man, the Birth of Venom. Oh, here you go. Original designs for the black costume. I bet you didn't know it was originally black and red. And a fan designed it. I think Jim Shooter paid him $500 for the idea, so that was pretty cool. Up next, Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. I had to buy this for college. I took a class at Michigan State University on comic book storytelling, and you know, that's that. It wasn't really a great book, but it's what it is. I'm not the biggest Ultimate Spider-Man fan. Someone in the comments wanted to know why I don't like Ultimate Spider-Man so much. Well, this is why. Really close-up shots of faces. There's no epic paneling. Everything's kind of blocked in. Now, there are some amazing shots, but overall, the book is just very structured and very boring. I do like Mark Bagley's artwork, but I like it a lot more when it comes in the form of the stuff that would be over here in Maximum Carnage as opposed to what's in this book. The first trade of Ultimate Spider-Man, nothing really happens. He's only Spider-Man for about the final third of it. I'm trying to show some of that. See, the action gets a little better, but again, it's still very blocked in and structured. We're not getting a lot of panel breaks and anything too dynamic. Mark Bagley did that back in the 90s, but I guess he just got tired. Here you go. Here's some really cool artwork right there. They even used the then current Amazing Spider-Man font. So that's Ultimate Spider-Man. Like I said earlier in the video, though, I do own most of those single issues. Here we go. Here's something. Now, not many people know this, but my favorite thing to collect, comic book-wise, with the exception of Amazing Spider-Man, is movie tie-ins. And here's the movie tie-in for the first Spider-Man film. I've had this for a long time. I don't think I got it when the movie came out. It's quite thin. It's just the story of the film told in illustration. It does have interesting differences, though. Like, here we go. The movie ends with J. Jonah Jameson giving a big speech about how Spider-Man's a crook and a criminal. It makes me wonder if there was a lead-in from the funeral to this to the web swing that we see at the end of the film. I think it'd be interesting to find out. But it's just the story of the movie. Nothing you don't know already if you're a fan of the film. I think it looks very good. We don't get 100% accuracy on the likenesses, but the costume looks just like it's ripped out of the movie. It's got the silver webbing and the reflective eyes. That's supposed to be Kirsten Dunst. Yeah. But sometimes it looks pretty good. I mean, that kind of looks like Tobey Maguire, kind of dopey and happy. But for as much as I love the first Spider-Man and its adaptation, well, adaptation, if I could speak, would be the adaptation to Spider-Man 2. Like the book, or excuse me, like the movie, it's better than the first one. Again, it's a collection of illustrations that basically represent the story of the film, and then there's an added bonus of the classic Amazing Spider-Man number 50 that the film is based off of, Spider-Man No More. And we get some beautiful John Romita Sr., if I could speak, I apologize, illustrations. Those are pretty cool. That's my favorite comic book panel of all time. I think this is my favorite comic book cover of all time, Amazing Spider-Man number 50. It's very epic, grandiose, but simple. The book also contains the ultimate origins of Doc Ock, which, that's fine. There are some cool things in Ultimate Spider-Man. I do like how Doc Ock hunts down his ex-wife and murders her. I think that's pretty dark and pretty cool. I got this book for free. A comic book store had opened up, and they were offering a free graphic novel, or trade paperback, with any purchase. So I picked this because I love Spider-Man, and I didn't own it. Okay, this is a mistake, but I'll show it real quick anyway. The film adaptation of Batman, or should I say the comic book adaptation of the film Batman. Next time. Here's one a lot of you probably haven't read or even heard of, SpiderMan Rain. SpiderMan Rain is essentially the Dark Knight Returns of the Spider-Man universe. I like it. It's kind of weird. The artwork's a little bizarre. It's kind of got a hybrid of 3D models with very basic, ugly illustrations, but you can see here that they are clearly influenced by Frank Miller. The art style is very minimalistic and kind of grungy, just like the Dark Knight Returns, as well as the talking heads in the media. So if you like the Dark Knight Returns and you like Spider-Man, this should be a read for you. Next is John Romita Spider-Man Visionaries. I have a hardback and a softback version of this, and I'll show both of those here in a moment. But here is the paperback Marvel Visionaries John Romita trade paperback collection. It's just a collection of his stories. Again, here's Spider-Man 50. We go back to Spider-Man, was this 41 or 2, where he fights the Rhino? That's not important. Let's just find out for posterity. It's 41, so I was right. Big criticisms of this book are I don't think these are very good scans of the illustrations. They're kind of blurry. Let's see if I can show this right here. If this would just focus. I'm using a different camera. Well, there we go. You can see the lines are kind of blurry and muddled, and it all just looks like it leaked. So I'm not the biggest fan of this book. This is essentially a toilet book, which in my term means a book I'll take to the toilet to read. I'll never destroy it for toilet paper because that would be asinine. But this isn't what I would consider an archival collection quality book where I'm going to pull it out for reference. This is just something for fun every once in a while. Actually, I don't think I've read this entire thing more than once. Up next we have the Marvel Visionaries John Romita Sr. hardback book, which is a much nicer title. I got this for Christmas in 2007 or 8. As you can see, Amazing Spider-Man 50, Amazing Spider-Man number 39. So the first Romita issue cover and the best Romita issue cover. It's a very nice book. We have Daredevil and Spider-Man on the dust jacket. There's the title page. We have a nice little illustration of John Romita and an introduction written by John Romita Jr. way back in 2005. Now, what's cool about this book is they actually go back and show some of the earlier artwork from John Romita Sr. pre-Marvel days, because back then Marvel didn't exist. I think it was still Timely. And this is an interesting story called It. It's about an alien baby. I think it's an alien. All I know is that this baby, no, they adopt a baby and the baby can talk and the baby kills. It's crazy. It's like a Twilight Zone episode, except less well written. I don't know. Does it give a credit who wrote the story? Not here. I'm not going to really worry about it. But it's called It. And Stephen King would be very embarrassed. But you guys really don't care about that. Here's some of the earlier Marvel stuff. Romita did some Captain America, some more sci-fi, a Hulk title, more Captain America. I believe this story was translated to a cartoon, the Marvel Superhero Hour, back in the 60s, and I think they just cut out this artwork and pasted it up and turned it into a cartoon somehow. Here we go. Enter Spider-Man. This is an issue of Daredevil, issue number 16, and I think this was a test from Stan Lee to see how John Romita would fare with a job on Spider-Man. The rest of the book is really good. Again, Amazing Spider-Man number 50. It's like if you're a fan of John Romita, you have to read Amazing Spider-Man 50 20 times before you get to read anything else. I don't even think the issue's that great story-wise. I mean, it's good. The movie's way better. Again, the most beautiful panel in any Spider-Man comic. But after you own it in like 20 different books, it's kind of just tiring to see. This is also in a lot of them. Spider-Man 108. I don't like this book at all. I think it's kind of a shitty story. It's about Vietnam. Nothing to do about racism and, you know, the way they portray Asian people. I don't give a fuck about that. This is an SJW Marvel. I don't like the story. It's very small scale, and it talks about the Vietnam War, and, you know, I wasn't alive back then, so maybe I can't relate. Overall, this is a very good book. It even goes all the way up to the 90s with Amazing Spider-Man number 365, where he did a short story called I Remember Gwen. It recalls Mary Jane's memories of Gwen Stacy and how her dad died and how Gwen died and, you know, all that stuff. Very cool. And then there's the Untold Tales of Spider-Man, where his parents are essentially 007. And then we have a nice little gallery of illustrations, comic strip panels, more comic strip panels, some illustrations for the New Avengers, and the Wedding Annual, which I have. Maybe I'll do a story on that, or a video on that. So that's that book. Now, on to the main event. These are the Spider-Man trade paperbacks or graphic novels that I cannot live without because I think they're the most important. Marvel Masterworks. These are the reprintings of the original Spider-Man stories in chronological order, minus the letters page, which I'm really not too worried about. And this is the best way for anyone to get into Spider-Man. If you want to become a Spider-Man fan, like a real one, you start here. This collects Amazing Fantasy number 15 through, I believe, Spider-Man number 10. Yes. And we have a nice little introduction from Stan Lee written in 1987, Excelsior. But this is essentially the book. Amazing Fantasy retold. This is what I would consider like a holy grail of Spider-Man graphic novels, because if you're going to invest in something like this, I would rather get entire runs instead of story arcs. Because who are they to determine what I should read that's bound in a collection? I'd rather have every Spider-Man book to read, not just what has sold the most. We can just go through these. These are real basic. There's the Ditko issues. That's Spider-Man number 2. And it continues to go on like this. So I have Volume 1. I have Volume 2, which has the annual. Amazing Spider-Man annual number 1 is, I think, my favorite Ditko issue and my top 5 favorite issues of Spider-Man overall. I absolutely love Spider-Man annual number 1. I have Volume 3. I have Volume 4. And I have Volume 5 in hardback. Now, the first 4 that I showed you, I bought at a Barnes & Noble way back in 2004. It was during the build-up to Spider-Man 2 in theaters. My mom and I were out at the mall. I said, "Hey, Mom, can I get these books?" She goes, "Okay," and she bought all 4 of them for me. Now, real quick, look at the price. I bought these for $12.95 in 2004. You can't get 3 issues of Marvel single issues for $12.95 anymore, but you got 10 classic issues, nicely bound. I love those. This is Volume 5, if you can't tell. Amazing Spider-Man number 50 again. This is just the Romita issues, though, straight. It starts at 41 and goes through 52? No, 41 through 50 in the annual number 3. This is a much better way to preserve the Spider-Man classics. You get very nice artwork, and these are nice reprints. A lot of them from other editions are kind of blurry and ugly. This is probably the best way you're going to get to see it. This is a great story where Craven attacks. They adapted that in the animated series. But here we go, Spider-Man number 50. Again, I hope you guys are as tired of it as I am. There's that beautiful panel again. So, that's that. On to the next one. I lost the dust jacket, so I apologize. But Spider-Man, Death of the Stacis. I got this for Christmas in 2007 with a couple other of these. Maximum Carnage and Birth of Venom I got the same day. This is a great collection of Amazing Spider-Man 89 through whatever. There's the credits. There's a foreword by Jerry Conway, and here we go. Spider-Man number 88, excuse me. John Romita Jr. Can't even speak. Excuse me again. John Romita Sr. Then we jump to the next issue, though, and for as much as I love John Romita Sr., I think the next issue of Spider-Man is one of the best from an artistic standpoint. Spider-Man number 89 is drawn by Gil Kane and inked by John Romita. There's a lot of panels in this book that are like poster quality that you could just take out, hang up on a wall, and everyone goes, "Oh man, that's the coolest Spider-Man I've ever seen." So a trademark of Gil Kane are these up-nose shots. He prided himself in that. If you're ever curious about who drew Spider-Man, if you see a lot of those, it's Gil Kane. But this is why I like it. You get really dynamic stuff like this with Spider-Man coming down, and he's about to burst through the panel, I feel like. And we have these really cool montage. Not montage, was a collection of pictures, but essentially it's a montage of Spider-Man, looking for someone. Very well done, very graphic. And as we continue to go through, we get cool stuff like this. Ooh, a $2 bill. I'm gonna leave in there. But just really neat stuff. I really do like this book. It's a this is what I wanted to show. This right here is one of my favorite panels of Spider-Man. This right here is how I envision Spider-Man when you say the character's name. Ooh, it got dark. Then it got light and dark. Anyway, that's that book. And finally, for my favorite title, Craven's Last Hunt. Now this is my favorite Spider-Man story. I would argue it's the best Spider-Man story. It runs from Amazing Spider-Man through Web of Spider-Man through Spectacular Spider-Man. But it has the same artist and the same writer, and it is fantastic. It's the story of Spider-Man and Craven. And it's the last Craven the Hunter story, in my opinion, ever. He comes back, it's stupid, the effect was worn off, but it's a beautiful book. The cool thing about these are you get the penciled pages. I'm not going to show you the story because I think you should just go out and read it. But you get these really beautiful illustrations. If anyone ever tells you that comic book art is not real art, they can go fuck themselves. This is years of dedication put onto paper, and it's a very low-paying gig, so you got to have respect for these guys. This is all Mike Zeck artwork. Side note, I met Mike Zeck once. He was not very friendly. So respect everyone that's nice to you. And if they're an asshole, just tell them to fuck off. Anyway, this is really cool stuff. Very powerful, very dramatic. You couldn't get this kind of drama with the red suit. So I'm very happy the black suit existed back then. There's Vermin. There's Craven the Hunter right there. And here is just some penciled pages of the artwork. Very cool to see this stuff. There's a lot of detail in these pencils. Some of the stuff I showed you earlier, the pencil pages were barely anything, but this was pretty damn intense. So that was it. That was my collection of Spider-Man trade paperbacks or graphic novels. Pan up real quick. There we go. Like I said, I own thousands of single-issue Spider-Man books. Like right here off the top of my head, here's Ultimate Spider-Man number 77. I must have been reading this for some reason, where he fights the Hobgoblin. Okay book, I guess, but it's not in a board and bag, so I don't love it. But let me know what you think of this video, if any of these sound interesting to you, if you have any of these, and tell me which Spider-Man graphic novel or trade paperback collection is your favorite. We'll be back later in the week with more Spider-Man Month, and World Class Bullshitters drops this Thursday night, so get excited. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back later.